Howdy, folks. I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Son to Cancel His Wedding? And there is a content warning on this one. It does involve homophobia. My son is getting married, and he said that I have to come alone to the wedding, not bring my husband, or I can't come at all. Here's my backstory. I'm a 49-year-old male, and I spent my 20s trying to convince myself that I'm a straight man. During that time, I got with a girl. We were both 24, and she became pregnant. And we had a son together, now 25-year-old male. We weren't never serious, and I told her about my struggles with my identity already before we slept together. Young and stupid, not much to do about it. We didn't get married, but we did raise our son together. He spent every other weekend with me or every other week with me, and I've loved every moment of being his father. I met my now husband when I was 35. He's a great guy, and we've been married for 14 years. My son considers him his stepdad. My son's mom jokes about him being her gay best friend, and they are very close, and he makes me so happy. Well, my son is getting married to his fiancee in 4 weeks, and just last week I received the wedding invitation, but it didn't mention a plus one, so I assumed my husband would be getting his own. He didn't. So I called my son's mom and asked her if she got a plus one invitation, and she said yes, she's married too. My son and his fiance came over for dinner 2 days ago, and I casually asked them about it. My son got a bit embarrassed and said they really aren't inviting step parents, just their parents. I said that's okay, but his mom told me that her husband is invited. His fiance then said that they would prefer to have a non ideological wedding. Whatever that is supposed to mean. My husband looked so shocked, and I was honestly just hurt. I told her that that sounds a bit homophobic, to which
What
she
the?
replied, I'm not a homophobe, I just don't want to deal with this at my wedding.
I'm not homophobic. I just don't want gay people at my wedding.
Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, well, it's a church wedding. I said, well, we won't burst into flames in the pew. She got upset and demanded they leave, and we went to wait for my son in the car. My son was almost crying, and he apologized to me. I told him I love him, but he really should cancel or postpone this wedding because this woman is showing her behavior that will only get worse. He called me a jerk for interfering in his personal life. His mom says he's old enough to do what he pleases, but what they did to us was wrong. My father, no shock there, thinks that I should just man up and be the father at the wedding. My friends say a bridezilla is the jerk, but my brother says that I'm the jerk for not respecting my son's wishes about the wedding. Am I the jerk?
No.
No. No. Yeah, these people, your son needs to realize that if he doesn't support you in your relationship, then you're not going to be there for him in his relationship.
Right. Well, and I mean, she's showing her true colors right now. I
Yeah.
mean, how is she going to feel about having gay people if they have kids involved in their kids'
Yeah,
lives
I
at
mean, it's
family
just going to be
events?
one
And
thing after another. It's like, you concede ground here, it's only going to get worse. They're going to basically push OP out of this, family, and eventually the stepdad is never going to be a figure in there, or it's going to be like a family secret type of thing. And it just seems like it's only going to get worse.
and it's important. Like she is showing her true colors now, and like she is homophobic. And OP's son really needs to ask himself deep down: Do I want to be married to someone who doesn't respect my father
Yeah,
as and his partner as like equals
yeah,
in our lives?
exactly.
Our next letter is: Am I the jerk for telling my dad cheating is what got us here, not my mom? Content warning on this one for affairs and for pregnancy loss and troubled pregnancy. My parents divorced when I was 7 after my mom found out that dad had been cheating on her for 5 years with someone she considered to be her friend. The reveal of the affair came during my birthday party, which we celebrated late because my dad made up some story about an old friend dying and going to the funeral when he was actually with her for an ultrasound after learning she was pregnant. My mom never got over what they did to her. I think what made it worse is two people betrayed her instead of just one, because if our friends are willing to hurt us like this, then, we're in trouble. My dad married his affair partner. They have children together now. My mom has stayed away from them as much as humanly possible. She told me a long time ago that she loved me, wanted me to be happy and loved, and not to be distant from them for her, but she would never be able to play happy families with my dad and his wife and their kids because some hurts are too deep and painful to move on from. When stay-in-place was ordered, things between my mom and dad deteriorated after my dad asked if my mom would take his other 6 kids into her home so his siblings could see each other.
Oh my goodness.
Since both he and his wife were frontline workers and had planned to send them somewhere to limit their exposure, Mom said no. She was mad as heck at Dad for asking, while Dad was mad as heck that she didn't force me to go to his in-laws to spend time with my siblings while we weren't legally allowed to meet up with others. Things are the same now, only my mom suffered less financially through the pandemic. After a while, my dad and his wife left their jobs when it got to be too much and their financial stability took a huge hit. My dad can't afford to throw a graduation party for me, which is fine, but he and his family are not welcome to the one my mom is hosting. He was complaining about them missing out on celebrating with me because of my mom. I told him it was because of his affair and not my mom. That he was the one who betrayed her over and over again, disrespected her, and then expected her to act like none of this happened so he could act like the good guy. He told me it had been a decade and my mom and I should be over it, and I should not have taken sides. I told him he should have kept the affair from me instead of letting it come out for me to hear. Am I the jerk? I needed to add, another element of the story is that the affair first started after my mom almost died, losing my sibling. The pregnancy went badly wrong and almost took her and did take her chance to have more children, all the while her husband and friend were getting together behind her back.
All right, so what do you think?
Definitely not the jerk. I mean, OP is absolutely right here, you know.
Especially with that ending, that edit part, right?
Right. I mean, the mom is allowed to be upset about affair no matter what, but like that's just like the horribleness on top of the horribleness. Like
Yeah.
I just so
That's like the bad icing
Mhm.
on the cake, and that's just like, this is a terrible situation. I feel extremely bad for OP because this is
Mhm.
kind of like, it came out on their birthday too, on top of that. So now their birthday is going to be kind of scarred and marred with this like bad thing that has happened. And then on top of that, it's, he just refuses to take responsibility for his own actions. And then he's, wondering why, his ex-wife doesn't want anything to do with him. So I think that they're just being extraordinarily clueless. Like,
Mhm.
he has the gall to approach the woman who he cheated on when after she almost died, and to be like, oh yeah, by the way, can you take these children?
Yeah, well, exactly. And so OP is absolutely right. And there's no reason that the mom needs to get over it, because what they did was horrible and unforgivable.
Yeah.
So the dad, he dug his own hole and he may not like that, but he just has to deal with that.
Yeah. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for locking the door to prevent my husband from getting involved in my job interview? And there is a content warning on this one. It does involve a controlling, maybe abusive husband. I'm a 33-year-old female and I'm unemployed, but God knows I've been looking for jobs. I'm a sales rep for well over 5 months right after recovering from knee surgery. My husband has a very high paying job. First, he suggested I leave my career as a sales rep behind, not up to his wealthy family standards. They mocked me for it a lot, and stay home, but I refused because I love my job and I wanted to grow in it. He suggested that he finds me a better job and he has connections, but it's not in my field. I've had several job interviews and my husband ruined them all for me, and here's how. He'd walk into the room whenever I was having a potential job interview and introduce himself, and then take over the conversation with the interviewer. He'd tell them about how good I am, but slip in some bad stuff would eventually would cost me the job. His argument was that he's just making recommendations since he's got connections and influence, but I told him to stop and let me handle it. He sulked, saying he was just trying to guide me and whatnot. Well, several days ago, I'd gotten a job interview after getting inside the room, and before the interview started, I locked the door. My husband tried to come in and started knocking on the door, asking why I locked the door, and telling me to let him in. I put my headphones on and I used noise canceling, but he kept knocking and telling me to open the door. After the interview was over, I unlocked the door and I walked out. He went off on me, calling me disrespectful and awful to lock him out like that. And I said I was sorry, but I wanted to work for this company so badly and I couldn't let him ruin it for me. He got offended and said that I was being petty and childish and ungrateful because of the stunt I pulled, and said that he was just trying to help me get the best deal out there. I said I'm not a child, but he said that yes, I was, especially with how I behaved for excluding him from my interview.
Because adults don't go to interviews on their own.
Yeah, I know when I was a child, I used to go to 3 job interviews a week. I mean, that's just what I did as a child. The
Like,
coal mines needed labor.
I'm gonna say, OP, you are 100% not the jerk here, but I really would recommend reevaluating this relationship because he absolutely does not have your best interests at
No,
heart.
not at all.
He is so concerned with how his family sees you, and he wants you in a job that they find acceptable.
Yeah, well, I think this is what this boils down to: is he doesn't want OP taking on another job that is like low class or something like that, and so I think he's maliciously going out of
Mm-hmm.
his way to ruin these. I mean, I would love to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, but nobody walks in on a spouse's interview and thinks that that's doing them a favor.
Right, and especially where he's accidentally slipping in some bad things.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Like,
she's so great, she's so great, but sometimes she just is lazy and sleeps in all day.
so he is intentionally sabotaging you.
Yeah,
And even if you get this job, there's nothing to say he won't try sabotaging you in other ways
yeah.
because it's very clear that he does not respect you in this work. So.
Yeah, I think that there's just a lack of respect here. It seems like he's being abusive. I think there's a high chance that there's probably other abusive tendencies here. And certainly this is a very controlling individual and environment.
Our last story is, am I the jerk for selling my husband's PS5? Content warning on this one for like potentially like,
Destruction of property, violent behavior.
yeah. Hear me out. I'm a 35-year-old female and I bought my husband, a 37-year-old male, a PS5 for his birthday a couple of months ago. He was beyond thrilled because he's a gamer, but it's been a while since he gamed. Let me say that the house has been a literal war zone ever since my husband started playing with the PS. He started having rage fits, cusses a lot, throws and breaks expensive stuff like headphones and watches and glasses and his phone. He said it's his normal reaction from being frustrated by losing a round in a game.
That's not normal.
No. I told him that this is no way to live because the house is in a constant state of anxiety and negativity, and my husband's behavior to me seemed to be worsening because of how easily he could cuss out and lash out now. I told him if gaming makes him stressed out, then he needs to quit. He was like, okay, I'll try to tone it down from now on, but don't blame me for being frustrated with how messed up these games have become lately.
I love how he's blaming the games.
Well, on Tuesday, I come home and find the place a mess. $300 game share was broken and all the stuff on the desk thrown on the floor. I asked him about what happened, and he nonchalantly told me he lost a round. I lost it on him and told him that I was done cleaning his mess and paying for replacements for every item he destroys, and let him know he had run out of chances and the PS5 now had a negative impact and needed to go. He said it had nothing to do with the PS5, so I told him the PS5 needs to be sold to pay for damages he caused. He threw a fit, but I sold it online. He called me a monster and said that it was selfish of me to return a gift that was for him. Yes, I get that it's a gift meant for him, but I paid for it, and also I'm the one who has to deal with damages since I'm the breadwinner in the house. He went into shutdown mode and keeps sleeping instead of spending time with me.
All right, folks. What do you think?
Oh,
Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say OP's not the jerk here. This man is a grown adult, not a like a 5-year-old child.
Yeah.
It is time that he learns how to manage his emotions.
Well, he might need to go into anger management.
Mhm.
I think that anger management is a really, really healthy course here. I mean, if this is otherwise a healthy relationship and this is just like the first time that he's started to like show these behaviors, then there could be signs like something that's like triggering him from his childhood or any number of things. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there could be something here. There could be more problems at play here. He certainly isn't acting like an adult.
No, and some people are just sore losers, and
Yeah.
I am a sore loser, but I am the get really pouty and sulky
She
and
does. She gets very pouty.
I get very pouty, but I don't throw and break things. And so I think then OP has also expressed that this is affecting their personal life beyond this, that he's now cussing out and lashing out at her more.
Yeah.
And that's a really bad sign. So, I mean, I think, yeah, it's fine to take away the PS5 because the way he's been behaving, but also taking away the PS5 may not address all of the issues here.
Yeah.
So he probably does need some more therapy or anger management classes or some way of handling it because that is not a healthy reaction
Mm-hmm.
to losing in a game.
Yeah, and there are also, I think OP needs to really examine the relationship as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are, certainly problematic elements here. And I mean, OP isn't giving any really many details, so it's really hard to say, give any kind of like definitive thing here, but I do think that OP at least needs to like think about this relationship, evaluate what's going on. Are there other, red flags here where he's acting out and acting childish or in a inappropriate way? And certainly like this could very well be just a something that's caused from just anger management issues from a standpoint of that, and maybe he can go to anger management and be fine, but also like there are some concerns here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages. I've got some tea here.
Water.
Amber has some water, and we have something that's a lot like water. They're called jokes. Amber's got a joke for us.
Who wrote All About Kissing? A. Maud de Maurier, B. Miss Elto, or C. Bella de Ball?
I'll say mistletoe.
I don't think there's any answers here.
I think they're just supposed to all be like clever,
Yeah.
like punny type things. So you can you can have all three of those punchlines there
Yes.
for your reading pleasure. All right, and I actually have some Earl Grey today. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. I hope you all had a great week so far. And
Happy Friday, Junior.
yes, happy Friday, Junior. And don't forget, we are having a live stream this Friday. Make sure to check your times to make sure that they line up all right. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.